I'm an outdoorsman. Today I'm going to be going over my jig fishing setup, and I'm going to be going over the jigs I like fishing, and then some trailers and some other stuff about how I fish jigs. The rod I use is the Kistler carbon steel frog and swim bait. It's a heavy fast action 7.3 rod. 7.3 helps get that hook set with jigs, the power you need to get it, so you have better hookups with a longer rod. The jig I have on it right now is just a Picasso spider jig with a rattle, and then a Bama Bug Biospawn Velcro. The reel is a Tournament MB. It's a 7:5 to 1 gear ratio. 20-pound Seaguar and Vizex, and then I have the Trigger Happy Comfort Grip on the bottom. That's the rod. Awesome rod to fish it with, and it's super cheap. Well, not super cheap, but it's one of the cheaper good rods on the market. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get into the jigs I like to fish. So in this video, I'm really just gonna be going over flipping jigs. These are mostly jigs I use anyway, shallow water around cover and everything like that. So my second favorite jig to use is the Picasso spider jig. It comes with a rattle on it. I don't know if you can see that. It's got several knockers in it. This is the green pumpkin, and then I can't remember what color this is, but this is my favorite color. It's green pumpkin and orange. I like this. It goes around cover very well. If you have to get deep inside of some cover to pull out the bass, definitely they pull out really well. And you could get these in round bend or EWG hooks. I like the round bend, better hook sets. Alright, my favorite jig is the Kitech Model 2. This is a tungsten jig, so it's tungsten inside this head, and it has a plastic coating around it. This is a 1/2 ounce, and it's a very, very small profile. Perfect for when the bass are a little finicky. Nice weed guard on it, perfect size, goes right to the back of the shank, which is what I like. I usually trim them back. And then I just have a baby packer crawl on the back. Then this one's a Bayou Bug flipping jig. It's in B-Rad Special, I think. And then it has a, what is this? Pit Boss. A black and blue Pit Boss. And then I have this is a discontinued jig. This is a Bass Munitions jig in black and blue. They have the trocar hooks on them, which is what I loved. And nice weed guard, needs to be trimmed a little bit. And a Bass Munitions Mud Bug. So now I'm gonna get into the different trailers I use. So these are different conventional trailers, you know, just a conventional crawl. I'll go over some little creature baits that I use sometimes too. So the first one is the Bass Munitions Mud Bug. These will be like fast moving, like a sunny day, or if it's cold, or not cold, but hot outside and the bass are hitting really good and they're not too finicky. I would use these. The claws just move really nicely on them. They're smaller claws. And then it's got legs on it also. And these legs put off quite a bit of motion. Usually you have to cut it down to about the first pair of legs to get it to fit on the jig. Second one I'll use is the baby packer crawl, or the packer crawl. Nice pinchers on it again that move nice. And it has the rattle inserts, which I'll go over in a few. And then the next one is the Turbo Crawl from Z-Man. And I like these because they have the cut pinchers. So these are going to put off a lot of motion. And since it's Z-Man, it's probably one of the best floating baits on the market. So it's going to stand that jig up like that instead of like laying down a little bit. But those are my smaller profile, fast moving trailers that I like. Now I'm gonna go over for winter and finicky bites. So for in the winter, or finicky bites, you want a slower, beefier profile trailer, and it's just gonna move a little bit less. Also, when it's cloudy outside, you can use a smaller one because it won't give off, or one that doesn't move as much, it won't give off as much flash. So the ones I like are the Bass Munitions. I can't remember what crawl this is, but as you can see, it's got some very thick and big pinchers on it, and it's just a thick one. If you're using a finesse jig, this isn't the one for it. You'd have to cut it way down, and the pinchers would probably still be too long. So I wouldn't use this one for like finesse, but for bigger jigs, this is a very good slow moving one. And then the next one, and probably one of my favorite trailers, is the Biospawn Vial Crawl. As you saw on the jig that I have tied on, I have the Bama Bug one, and this is Alabama Crawl. And this one's kind of versatile too. If you want it to have more motion, when you rip it apart, you can leave that third piece and it'll move around also, or you can cut it off, or you could not separate it at all and just have one big fluent moving piece, and that'll slow the presentation down. These are very good, but they're thicker and bigger, so they move a little bit less and they move slower. So now I'm gonna get into the like beaver style baits and stuff like that I'll use as a trailer. Alright, so the next kind I'll use is just a creature bait. This is the Pit Boss. As you can see on the Bayou Bugs jig, I have a black and blue Pit Boss. This just changes it up a little bit. Instead of making it look, more like a crawfish, you have 4 different little appendages that move around. And I also like, this is the Wave Tiki. I can't remember what this one exactly is called, but you could have 3 or 5 appendages. What I would do is take these off and then cut it down a little bit, and then you have a slower moving paddle tail, and just gives it a little bit different of a presentation. So there's a couple different modifications I'll do. If it's muddy water or something along those lines, or the fish are being kind of finicky, I'll dip it in JJ's Magic. It'll get scent in the water, which the fish like, and it'll also change the color a little bit. So if it's muddier, the chartreuse works really well to draw the fish's attention in. Also, if it's muddy, I'll use a rattle sometimes, and there's 2 different rattles I'll use. There's a glass rattle and then just a regular jig rattle. And the glass rattle is good if you have like a pack of crawl or something like that on there, or Bass Munitions makes one with the mouth like that, I think. And all you do is stick the rattle inside the mouth. It's hidden now, and it rattles. So that's one way to do it. Then the second way to do it's to just put the rattle on there, and then you put your trailer on. Now this trailer's not put on perfectly at all. It's very crooked and not straight, but that's just a single knocking rattle that I use. Even with the trailer on there, I'll either put it down or straight up into the weed guard like that. Oh, 1, 2. Like that. Then the next thing I'll do, I'll trim the weed guard like all mine. The Picassos come pretty well cut, but the weed guard, you want it to go to the back of the shank when you bend it down, and that's about as long as I want it. Unless you're just fishing like super heavy cover, then you can leave it long. And if you have it like that and you're still getting hung up, what you can do is you just bend these out, bend that out into a fan like that, and it'll help divert, if you're fishing like trees and stuff like that, it'll help divert the branches away from it and help you keep from getting tangled up. Then one more tip, in the wintertime, I'll leave the skirt long like this. It has a slower flare out and moves a little bit less, or when they're a little bit finicky. And then in the summertime, when you want it, or the spring and fall, when you want it to move faster, you just trim it down to right at the bottom of the hook, and that's just gonna flare out, and these are all gonna move a little bit faster, give it a lot more movement. And that's about all I do for jigs. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll get to them. Thanks for watching.